history repeating.
Billy has had a career most songwriters could only dream of, and he often worked with a variety of songwriting partners, including Rick Knowles and Josh Alexander. However, it was his partnership with Tom Kelly that is probably the best remembered. Together, the two wrote Like a Virgin, True Colors, Eternal Flame, So Emotional, and many more. Here's Billy talking about meeting Tom Kelly and working together for the very first time.
Well, I had the hit with Linda Ronstadt, and I was very excited about it. And then my band broke up. Billy Thermal broke up. And after the harvest season of working with my father in the vineyards, I decided to rent a house in Los Angeles. One, because that's where the music business was centered. And two, because the weather was more cool. Out where we farmed grapes, it was extremely hot, ultra hot. So to escape the heat and to try to network in the music business, I rented a house in you could call it a coastal village in Los Angeles called Pacific Palisades. And by that time, I had had the Linda Ronstadt recording, but I also had had two of my songs recorded by Pat Benatar. And she was on a label called Chrysalis Records. So I knew a couple of the A&R guys at Chrysalis. I had submitted my songs to them. One was called Precious Time, and one was called I'm Gonna Follow You. And I wanted to meet the guy who produced I'm Gonna Follow You for Pat Benatar, and his name was Keith Olsen. And Keith was, his biggest claim to fame was that he produced the first Fleetwood Mac album that included Stevie Nicks and Lindsey Buckingham. So he introduced Lindsey and Stevie to the rest of the Fleetwood Mac band. So I got a hold of Keith Olsen, and I had never met him in person, but he invited me to a party at his house. I went to the party, and I met Tom Kelly at that party, and I suggested to Tom that we try to write something together. That was the summer of 1981.
Billy and Tom together became two of the most successful songwriters of the 1980s. However, Billy wrote with many other fantastic writers. His only condition was that he needed a partner that was willing to write the music after the lyrics, something that many writers would find just a little bit tricky.
But we actually wrote the song alone, the Heart song. We wrote it before we wrote Like a Virgin, but it sat around for a while before Heart got it. Like on True Colors and Like a Virgin, I just start with the first line and go from there. I like to write the lyrics first without any preconceived notion of what the music's going to sound like. I just like to write the lyrics and then put it to music.
And you played a part in writing the music as well. Tom Kelly, primarily he did the music, he didn't write the lyrics, but you also, it's not like you just said, here, finish this.
True.
You played a part in that.
Yeah, we would always sit together and write the music. Tom was a much better musician than I am. And he would have written most of the chords and the majority of the melodies too. We would always write it together.
It's rare for a song to be successful by two different artists, but I Drove All Night by Kelly and Steinberg was successful for three artists. Cyndi Lauper, Celine Dion, and Roy Orbison, who was a particular influence on both Tom and Billy. In fact, they wrote the song as if it were a Roy Orbison record. And they did such a good job that Roy Orbison himself recorded it.
You asked earlier about people who influenced me. One artist that Tom Kelly and I both loved was Roy Orbison. And when we wrote the song, I Drove All Night, we were really intentionally trying to write something that sounded like a Roy Orbison dramatic song with a lot of range in the vocal and melody. And we succeeded in writing something that I think, well, it proved itself to be right because Roy Orbison himself did eventually record it.
And he recorded it, a year before he passed away? So would have been one of the last ones.
Actually, he recorded it before Cyndi Lauper recorded it. We recorded a version of it with Roy Orbison, but when we did, he didn't have a recording contract, and there wasn't anything really we could do with his version of the song. So we ended up giving the song to Cyndi Lauper, who was the first artist to release it.
And that was Cyndi Lauper's last top 10 hit. And then Celine Dion also did it, and she did a great version of it too.
Yeah, I love her. I love Celine's version of it.
I think it's one of the few songs where I find it hard to pick the best version. I gotta go with Roy Orbison's, but Cyndi Lauper and Celine Dion both do incredible jobs. The song is just one of those few songs that multiple people can do it, and it sounds different, and but it still sounds great.
I agree. I'd have a hard time picking which is my favorite version.
I Drove All Night was Cyndi Lauper's final top 10 hit, but it wasn't her only hit penned by Tom and Billy. True Colors was Lauper's second number one, and has gone on to become one of the most universally beloved anthems of all time. But what most people don't know is that the original opening verse was completely different from what ended up on the record.
Well, interestingly enough, Ryan, the original first verse didn't resemble what ended up on the version that Cyndi recorded. So originally, I wrote a verse that went like this. You've got a long list with so many choices, a ventriloquist with so many voices, and your friends in high places say where the pieces fit. You've got too many faces in your makeup kit, but I see your true colors shining through. So I wrote those lines, and it was the line, you've got too many faces in your makeup kit, that then evoked, but I see your true colors shining through. And then Tom Kelly said to me, he said, we have a song with wonderful potential here. He said, I think your first verse is really well written and really poetic, but it's problematic in that it's specific. It's about a person with friends in high places. And he suggested that I rewrite the first verse lyric and make it universal, like the chorus lyric, which was very hard for me to do, but I did it. And he was probably right. I think it's not, I don't think the final first verse is better written than the original one, but I definitely think it made the song more universal, which has been one of the reasons for its great success it means a lot to a lot of different people. It can be from a friend to a friend, or a lover to a lover, or a father to a son, and it could fit almost any kind of relationship where one person is trying to show faith in somebody else or encourage somebody else or to be supportive of somebody else. And I think that was the key to its success, along with a great piece of music and some wonderful melodies.
True Colors is just one of those songs that could have come out in any era and be a hit. It's just a timeless song. So we've hoped that you've enjoyed this episode with Billy Steinberg, and we can't wait to share our final segment with him, where we discuss his personal favorite song and an underrated gem from 1987. Until next time, this has been History Repeating.